Guys, your tickets.
F you.
It's 150 per person.
Fuck up and drive.
150 per person, please.
Didn't I tell you to sit down and drive the fucking bus?
Gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Enjoy.
Fucking loser.
You're gonna look back at this moment and realize that it is the luckiest you have ever been.
The movie opens inside a supermarket in an unnamed European city, where a young mother and her son are doing something completely ordinary, buying groceries. They finish shopping, leave the store together, and step back into the street. But in the middle of broad daylight, their normal day turns into a nightmare. Without warning, a passing attacker suddenly lunges at the mother and stabs her in the neck before running away. Everything happens so fast that no one has time to stop him. Her young son stands there frozen, forced to watch as his mother collapses onto the pavement in front of him. She bleeds out on the street and dies at the scene, while the boy is left helpless beside her. Soon after, the attack dominates the news. Reports say the suspect is believed to be an undocumented migrant, and the killing sends fear across the city. Parents are now afraid to let their children play outside, and many women no longer feel safe walking alone after dark. But according to the report, hope no longer seems to come from government officials or law enforcement. Instead, many terrified citizens have started placing their faith in someone else, a mysterious figure known only as the vigilante citizen. This unknown man has been carrying out his own brutal form of justice, hunting down violent criminals and powerful figures accused of letting crime spread unchecked. To some, he is nothing more than a dangerous killer, but to others, he is the only person willing to do what the authorities failed to do. Online, support for him grows rapidly. Many people praise him for standing against violent offenders, and every new attack linked to him spreads across the internet within hours. Just last week, the leader of a prominent Middle Eastern crime syndicate and several of his associates were found dead inside a dumpster, turning the vigilante citizen into an even bigger symbol of fear, controversy, and revenge. Meanwhile, an American man named Michael Sanders meets with his business manager, Owen. During their meeting, it is revealed that Michael is an active U.S. Army officer who came to Europe on vacation after inheriting his estranged father's real estate business. His father recently died of cancer, leaving Michael in control of 3,500 rental units across the city, generating around 50 million euros a year. Michael wants to evict tenants who have stopped paying rent, but Owen explains that the process is extremely slow. First, the tenants must be 3 months behind on rent. Then they must receive a final notice, giving them 4 more weeks to pay. If they still refuse, Michael must obtain a court order, which can take another 7 months. In other words, tenants who stop paying can live there for free for months, while Michael loses around 5 million euros every month. On top of that, the tax authorities have started questioning the ownership structure of Michael's holding companies. Since Michael is not a registered citizen, the government also wants to seize some of his empty units to house migrants. Michael refuses to hand over the properties unless the government rents them at full cost. But Owen warns him that if the government discovers the true ownership information, they could seize the units without paying him anything. Owen urges Michael to cooperate, believing the government might grant him citizenship without asking too many questions, but Michael refuses. He says he is only in Europe for an extended vacation. Later, at his hideout, Michael works out inside his apartment. On the table nearby, several guns and boxes of ammunition are laid out. It is then revealed that Michael himself is secretly the vigilante citizen. He records a video with his face blurred and his voice distorted. In the message, he insists that everything he does is for the people, and since no one else is willing to take action, he says he will. Because of the growing violence connected to the vigilante citizen, Interpol Regional Chief Henry begins leading the operation to capture him. Henry releases an official statement, making it clear that even though much of the public supports the vigilante, the police are determined to bring him down. Meanwhile, Michael takes a city bus, where several thugs refuse to pay their fares. The driver tells them they need to pay, but they only mock him and refuse to cooperate. Before the situation gets worse, Michael steps in and pays their fares himself, just so the bus can keep moving. But instead of thanking him, the group laughs at him and calls him a loser. Michael calmly sits beside one of them and starts lecturing the group about how small acts of lawlessness can damage society. But when the thug beside him reaches for a blade, Michael stops him and discreetly presses a gun against his side. The thug is immediately terrified. After making his point, Michael returns to his seat as if nothing happened. Later, Michael visits a hospital where he meets Elsa, a sexual assault victim who was badly beaten during the attack. She has just woken up after spending 3 weeks in a coma. Michael asks her what she wants to happen to the men who attacked her. Elsa says she wants them to spend the rest of their lives in prison. Michael then explains the reality of pursuing justice through the courts. He tells her that the case could take years, and she would have to relive the attack again and again in front of strangers. Lawyers would question every detail of her story, call her a liar, and try to destroy her credibility. Even after all that, there would still be no guarantee that the attackers would be punished, and while the long, expensive trial drags on, those same men could hurt someone else. Then Michael offers her another option. She can support his intervention instead. Elsa quietly chooses to support him. Back at his apartment, Michael records another video. This time, he claims the government exists only to control people. He says the state, the courts, and the police have failed the public, and they were never truly designed to deliver justice. According to him, they exist to keep people obedient. Michael says he is there to help citizens take that control back. Later, Michael visits the home of a 14-year-old girl who was sexually assaulted by 6 migrant attackers. Her father answers the door, and Michael asks him one simple question. Was his daughter satisfied with the court's decision? The father refuses to answer a stranger and tells Michael to leave. But from inside the house, his daughter answers for him. She says, no, there was no justice. The attackers were released without punishment. Michael says nothing more and leaves immediately. Meanwhile, Chief Henry visits Elsa in the hospital. He introduces himself as an Interpol officer and promises that they will use every resource available to find the men who attacked her. But Elsa mistakes him for the man who visited her earlier. She assumes Henry is Michael's colleague and mentions that the other man was friendly and asked whether she wanted justice. Henry quickly realizes that the vigilante citizen has already been there. He asks Elsa what the man looked like. Elsa also realizes who Michael really was, but instead of helping Henry, she deliberately gives him a description that does not match Michael at all. Sometime later, while walking through a park, Michael sees the same thugs from the bus bullying a young man. They take his phone and beat him up. Michael steps in and takes the attackers down with a taser. Then he tells the victim to call his mother and press charges. As the young man leaves, Michael crushes the hands of the attackers and warns them never to behave that way again. Later, Michael disguises himself as a police officer and kidnaps Judge Reinhold by injecting him with a heavy dose of heroin. As Michael drives away with him, it is revealed that Reinhold is the judge who released the 6 attackers in the 14-year-old girl's case. Michael condemns him for allowing violent criminals to walk free. He plays an interview of Reinhold outside the courthouse, where the judge defended the attackers by saying the boys simply had trouble adjusting to society. Reinhold also claimed they were victims too and that they had been traumatized. Michael is disgusted by the excuse. On the outskirts of the city, he pours alcohol over the unconscious judge and slits his wrist, making the death look like suicide. Then Michael leaves him there to bleed out. That night, Chief Henry is drinking alone at a pub when a waitress recognizes him from television. She tells him that many people do not want the police to arrest the vigilante citizen. Henry pushes back, saying they cannot simply allow people to commit murder without facing consequences. At the same time, Michael is also inside the pub, sitting at the bar with a drink. As he watches the crowd, he notices 2 men secretly dropping drugs into their dates' drinks after the women leave for the restroom. Michael calmly approaches the men and tells them someone is harassing their dates near the restroom. The men warn him that if he is lying, they will come back and make him regret it. Once they leave to check, Michael quickly switches the drinks. But without Michael realizing it, Chief Henry is watching everything from a distance. A few moments later, the men return to the table and drink from the glasses Michael switched. Almost immediately, they begin to feel dizzy. Michael then walks over, tells the women what happened, and warns them not to stay with those men. The women quickly leave. After Michael walks away, Henry carefully collects the glass Michael used, hoping to recover his DNA. The next day, Michael goes to the home of one of the attackers, Yusuf al-Shara. He forces his way inside by holding Yusuf's father at gunpoint, then takes Yusuf and his family hostage. When Yusuf tries to charge at him, Michael shoots him in the leg and orders everyone to sit down while keeping them at gunpoint. Yusuf's father tries to defend him, arguing that the court already freed him and that he is still young and does not know any better. Yusuf also defends himself, claiming the girl wanted it. Michael coldly reminds him that he and the others covered her mouth while they took turns attacking her. He then turns his attention to Yusuf's sister, who had posted online that the victim deserved what happened because of how she dressed. She blamed the girl for making the boys desire her by wearing a miniskirt. Michael says this is exactly the problem. Children are shaped by the values their parents teach them. Yusuf's father insists that he taught his children values from the Quran, but Michael does not accept the excuse. He then orders Yusuf to call the rest of his accomplices to the apartment. At first, Yusuf refuses, but when Michael begins counting down from 5 and points his gun at Yusuf's mother, Yusuf finally gives in and makes the call. Soon after, 2 of the accomplices arrive. The moment they enter the room, Michael shoots them dead, along with Yusuf and his family. Not long after, the remaining attackers arrive as well. Michael kills them too. After Henry connects Michael Sanders to the vigilante citizen, he leads a special intervention unit to Michael's apartment to arrest him, but Michael is already prepared. From inside an armored container, he watches the team approach through the security camera feed on his phone and waits for the raid to begin. When the officers enter the apartment, Michael warns them to leave, but instead of backing down, they open fire. Michael fires back, killing everyone in the room before escaping. A short time later, Henry and the remaining officers enter the apartment and find bodies scattered across the floor. Henry orders his men to force open the armored container, but when they get inside and open the hidden escape hatch, an explosive booby trap goes off, killing several officers and injuring Henry. Later, while Henry is recovering in the hospital, Michael calls him. He tells Henry to warn the government that the public will not tolerate what he describes as a takeover by radical, political, and religious extremists. Michael says the government must stop it, or the people will do it themselves. Henry decides to address the press, especially if the Prime Minister refuses to listen. Sometime later, a news report reveals that 3 judges have recently died under suspicious circumstances. At first, their deaths were ruled suicides, but the timing has raised serious questions. The latest victim is Judge Reinhold, who was found dead inside his car on the outskirts of the city. At home, the teenage victim learns that her attackers are dead. Instead of being horrified, she reacts with quiet satisfaction. The report then claims that, according to European crime statistics, more than 105,000 violent crimes were attributed to migrants the previous year, including 980 murders and over 18,000 reported cases of sexual assault. Soon after, a scrambled video message from the vigilante citizen is broadcast to the public. In the video, he declares that his work will continue until citizens learn how to defend themselves. At the end, the film closes with a dedication to the thousands of sexual assault and murder victims in Europe who were betrayed by the legal system. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy to hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice, just to be sure. It would be best if you watched the whole movie. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this.